Join us on the 7 miles kayak on the Wales coast from Merthyr Mawr to Rest Bay, which passes through an interesting variety of river, estuary and coastal scenery. Find out how we dealt with the strong tides and how we transitioned from the sheltered waters of the Ogmore River out onto the rougher, more open waters of the Bristol Channel. It's an early start for us. It's about 9:30 in the morning and we're by the swing bridge at Merthyr Mawr. We're going to launch into the Ogmore River here, just below the swing bridge. There's a free car park here, right next to the river, very close to the village of Merthyr Mawr. It's about 9:45 and as you can see we've launched for our maiden voyage on the Ogmore River. Always watch out for low hanging branches on the river. Looks like Ethan and Ewan have already stopped for a snack. The first 2 miles of this route will be on the Ogmore River and then we join the sea for the remaining 5 miles to Rest Bay at Porthcawl. I think the Ogmore River gets tidal just downstream from here. Ahoy, shipmate Archie. We've gone about 3/4 of a mile and we're coming up to where the Ogmore River is joined by the Ewenny River from the left. These strenuous paddles that we do are a really good workout for us. You can see Ogmore Castle over there, which confusingly is on the Ewenny River. It was built back in the early 12th century. The current is taking us downstream quite nicely. It was high tide at about 9:15 this morning, which is why we set off quite early. This is where the Ogmore River is joined by the Ewenny River from the right hand side. Ogmore Castle is just upstream on the Ewenny River. Looking back upstream you can see clearly here where the Ewenny River comes in from the right hand side and joins the Ogmore River, which is on the left hand side. We're just over a mile downstream from Merthyr Mawr and the river here is getting wider, more estuarine, and it's very tidal. Ewan wins the prize for the best hat of the day. We only launched about half an hour late today. We're normally a lot later than that. If you're doing this route then ideally you want to launch from Merthyr Mawr at about high tide so you can then go out with the outgoing tide. You often see riders practicing on the sands next to the Ogmore River and also on Newton Beach. The water level in the Ogmore can actually get quite low a couple of hours either side of low tide, so it's better to paddle it nearer to high tide. We're coming up to the mouth of the Ogmore River now, where it flows out into the sea at Ogmore-by-Sea, which is over on the left there. You can see some people surfing on the waves over there at Newton Beach on the right hand side. There's a big parking area over there on the left hand side at Ogmore-by-Sea. Somebody paddleboarding as well. This spot at the mouth of the Ogmore River can be a bit swirly with funny currents where the river meets the sea, and the Coast Guard are often picking up swimmers who get into trouble here. As soon as you leave the Ogmore River and get out onto the open sea, it gets rougher with more swells straight away. There's Archie over there with Newton Beach and Merthyr Mawr sand dunes in the background. You can see North Devon over there on the other side of the Bristol Channel, probably about 12-13 miles away. I think it may be slightly outside of our range, although we have done longer kayaks. Newton Beach over there to our right is a cracking beach when the tide is in. When the tide is out it can be quite rocky. You can see Treco Bay Caravan Park over there, which is kind of sandwiched between Newton and Porthcawl. Merthyr Mawr Warren has apparently got the highest sand dune in Wales, called the Big Dipper.
I can't see it being that busy with fishing boats coming in and out.
No.
Not like that place in.
That's Coney Beach Amusement Park over there on the eastern side of Porthcawl. It's quite a relaxed paddle, we're just letting the tide do a lot of the work for us. When the tide is going out on this stretch of the South Wales coast, then it runs east to west, so the tide is going with us now, taking us towards Rest Bay. The tide can run quite strong here at times and it often catches people out. That's Porthcawl Harbour coming up. You can see the lighthouse on the left. Looks like we're on a collision course with that yacht, so we better take evasive action. That white tower over there is the Coast Guard lookout station. Hopefully we won't need to bother them today. Porthcawl RNLI do an amazing job. They must be one of the busiest stations in South Wales. We've passed the harbour of Porthcawl and we're coming around towards Porthcawl town itself now. Porthcawl is a popular little town with lots of bars and restaurants along the waterfront. I think we've probably tried most of them over the years. I think lots of the call-outs that the Coast Guard get are paddlers not realising how strong the tide is here. I must have been to Porthcawl countless times over the years, but I've never seen the esplanade from this angle, looking back from the sea. This stretch of coast on the western side of Porthcawl is more rocky and more exposed, so it tends to be rougher. It's getting a bit choppier, but at least Ewan hasn't lost his hat. Ethan and Ewan have gone ahead again. It's not that they're younger and fitter than us, it's just that Archie and I are pacing ourselves. This 7 miles paddle on the South Wales coast is part of our undertaking to paddle all of the 870 miles or so of the Wales coast. The outgoing tide has been a big factor on this paddle, pulling us westwards towards West Bay.
I know.
Yeah. I'm looking back east towards Porthcawl. I've walked that bit of coast many times in the past. If we had got into difficulty, then at least the Coast Guard could have found us easily with Ewan's hat. West Bay, where we're going to land, is where those red roofed buildings are over there. Ethan, Ewan and Archie are going in as the first assault wave to open up a beachhead. Oh no, I've just seen Ethan's kayak getting turned over in the surf. What a great kayak on an amazing stretch of river and coastline. Ethan unfortunately lost his glasses when he got flipped, but at least we made it. I've left my car in the plane display car park to the right across the road, so I'll be taking us back to Merthyr Mawr once we've deflated and packed up. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, then consider subscribing by clicking on the left below. Click on the right below to go to our playlist of our other trips around the Wales coast. Happy paddling from the kayak crew.